Hey everybody, what's up? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. City on a Hill, season 2 on Showtime right now. This guy's in it. It's Matt Del Negro. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, DJ. This is
So you've done a lot of great shows in your career, and City on a Hill is a really fascinating show. You get bumped up to a series regular here in season 2. So what's this experience been like for you so far?
yeah, it's a great group of people. I think you've sat down with a few of them, and I came in halfway through season one, and you never know what to expect. It seemed like the introduction of a new character, but I've been doing TV long enough that first of all, you never know, even if a show is great, that I've had some that are great and they don't get picked up, let alone do you get brought back, do you get bumped up? So that was really just kind of awesome as an actor to know that my storyline was increasing, knowing that I'm going to be around, knowing that I'm going to be able to tell these stories that I feel are relevant and with great storytellers. Obviously I'm ecstatic. So pretty good, pretty good feeling right now.
I mean, this show hits on so much, right? It's relevant because what was happening in the 90s is still happening today in terms of law enforcement, in terms of race, in terms of everything going on in our country right now. And your character is right in the middle, right? You play a detective, you got the strike force with the younger kids. So, what's it like diving into some of those layers here in the show?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, that's one of the things that's cool for me with my character specifically is that the first season is set up where it's really a this kind of old school, very white Boston, and the BPD. A lot of the characters that are depicted are the race relations, the tensions are high, and then he comes. I think it's in the maybe the fifth episode of the first season. DeCourcy Ward comes and meets me and realizes, he sees my crew of guys and it's multiracial, and I kind of take people, for who they are, not what they look like. And so I'm kind of, as my son would say, I get cast as bad guys a lot, and I'm like, no, I'm a good cop in this one. I'm kind of, I feel like there's Kaysen's got a good heart. He's understated, and you know, the thing that's cool, and who knows, we hope that it's going to keep going. I hope this thing goes a bunch more seasons. But when you have great writing, you know that they're going to. My guy is good. He seems like he's on the good side of things, but there are nuances and complexities that if the story is allowed to breathe further, maybe there are complexities there, which is what great drama is. It's like it's not just so cut and dry. Everybody's got complexities, and hopefully with Kaysen we'll find that out if it moves on further.
I think there's definitely some more meat on the bone here, that's for sure. And you mentioned nuance and complexity. I mean, listen, you pull off the Boston accent, but it's not necessarily the easiest accent to do. So, how long did it take you to nail it? Because you have your BC days and you spent a ton of time there, but what was it like working on the accent here?
Well, I like to say so. My brother also went to BC. He's not an actor, but he's 3 years ahead of me, and we've been doing the Boston accent as a joke, like way over the top, since we were at BC, because we got a lot of friends in Massachusetts that we like to make fun of, and they make fun of us. And I said when I became an actor, it was like my poor parents. I went and got this 4 years of college, and I was like, I'm going to be an actor. So now I feel like I'm finally maybe finally it's paying off because I can use the accent. I can use my years in Boston for something. I think, one of the things that I consciously tried to do, and I catch myself in the first season not doing this, but I consciously tried to lay off the accent a little bit because I think sometimes you can go so far with it. And I know a lot of guys from Boston. Not everybody has a really, really, you know, thick Boston accent. I mean, I know guys from Belmont that you wouldn't necessarily. It's only certain words where you hear it come out, and so subtlety is hopefully I have a little bit of subtlety with it.
I think that's super important. And also, I think one of the reasons why this show is so great is because it has phenomenal actors in addition to you. We see Kevin Bacon, we see Aldis Hodge, and you obviously spend a ton of time on screen with Aldis. So, what's most fascinating about him as an actor and a man? Because you've worked with some of the best in Hollywood, but what separates him from the rest, in your opinion?
He is super focused. watching the show. I met him in this first season. We had stuff together, but we didn't really get as tight as we did this year. I ended up interviewing him on my podcast. We really got to know each other. And one of the things was I didn't realize he was so much younger than me because he carries himself with such gravitas. And in sitting down and talking with him and then hanging out with him since then, he's really serious. I mean, it's funny, like the stereotype of a young star back in the day, it was like they're partying, whatever. This guy is the opposite of that. I mean, he is so dialed in and focused. He's got a watch company that he's building from the ground up. And that's actually how the interview came about, because we were sitting next to each other in between scenes, and I saw he had this portfolio, and he had these amazing sketches of timepieces and like really, really good. And I was like, what is that? Sparked a whole conversation. I realized he had this whole other passion. And then I get to know him, and he's just very serious about his craft and his career. Good to everybody on set. And so is Kevin. It's like, you know, people always ask me, I've been on a bunch of different sets, and I always say that the culture of the set is determined by number one on the call sheet. In this case, number 1 and 2 on the call sheet. They're both great guys, treat everybody well, not just, you know, in a political way when people are looking. Like, they actually treat the people around them well, and that makes it fun to work there. Not only for the work, but just because they're cool people. You know,
that's really awesome to hear. And you mentioned the culture of sets. Why don't we talk Sopranos here? Because that could be the best set of all time. And my wife and I just binge watched the whole show for the first time. We'd never seen it, and there you are playing Cousin Brian in there. So tell me about that set. What stands out to that set all these years later?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Sopranos is one of those jobs that people ask about all the time because it's such an iconic show. And for me, I was so young. You know, I mean, I wasn't that young, but for me, it was one of the biggest breaks I got early on. And it was the same thing where I worked. All my stuff was with Edie Falco and Jim Gandolfini, and I was so, you know, I was in awe of the show, and then I was working with them. So I just kind of got, you know, set about my work. But what I loved and what I really remembered with Gandolfini, they were also kind of, they were kind. They brought me in, and same deal with Jim. He was serious about his work, but he was cool when it was like, he was a great mentor to me, and not again in this kind of BS publicity way where he's shaking hands to make it look good. Like, when he was working, and I wasn't trying to, you know, he wasn't trying to be overly nice, but he was present with me, I felt, and brought me in. And you know, that whole crew, guys, I mean, it was such a tight knit family between the, you know, the cast and also the crew behind the scenes. So it was another one that was like, you have great writing, you have great material, and there's nothing to complain about.
I mean, it lives on.
Did you lose me there?
No, I got you. We kept it going. I mean, it lives on all these years later.
Oh, nice.
It's crazy how people have just copied that show and tried to do it a little differently, but there's really no copying The Sopranos. It just stands alone.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to do the podcast Talking Sopranos recently, so I reconnected with Steve Sciarippa and Michael Imperioli, and just thinking about those years, it was such a big part of my career and kind of evolution. And you know, when you get the combo of great actors, great writing, and great stories, that's where I feel right now. Same thing. It's like you just get lucky once in a while where you get onto a show that has such talent in all departments, and you know, it makes it fun, it makes it challenging, and you know, feel very fortunate.
Well, Matt, great hanging out with you, man. Best of luck with everything going forward, and we'll talk to you down the road. All right.
Likewise, DJ. Thank you, brother.